welcome to the channel. Today, finally, we are in port in beautiful Bermuda. You can see looking around, there's lots of interesting channels and houses and things to see. Today we're off to the Crystal Caves and to the aquarium. So stay tuned if you want to find out what we get up to.
Hello world, wake me up to another good morning, time to go. Oh, we are all looking for adventure. 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 We are all looking for adventure.
So we left the city of Lisbon in Portugal and headed to Azores. This time we could actually see the bridge that we could barely make out amongst the fog on our way in. We also noticed a large statue of what we presume is Christ. Anyhow, we had a day at sea and the weather and the sky was pretty good, to be honest. But then we got to Azores. 45 knot winds and extremely choppy. We were still hopeful that we'd get in, especially when we saw the pilot come alongside and jump aboard. We thought we were going to be in for a day in Azores, but unfortunately that wasn't to be. The pilot and the captain decided it was way too risky with the 45 knot winds and a fairly narrow entrance into the harbour. So with that, we were off to Bermuda. Now the captain slowed the ship, so we actually had an extra day at sea, so we arrived in Bermuda at the same time. Now on the way, we actually had some 6-metre seas. It didn't seem to bother the breakaway too much though. So we kept ourselves busy, going to concerts, eating some nice food, and generally being entertained. So that was the stage show 6. We had some cocktails. We always tried to do our daily exercise, either up at the gym or we'd do a circuit around what's called the waterfront, which is a deck that goes right around the entire ship with beautiful views of the ocean. So we did that daily just to make sure we got our steps in and burnt off some of those great meals that we were eating. We saw another great band called Rumours, which told the story of Fleetwood Mac, and it was packed. These guys were absolutely fabulous. The music was great and the story was great too. Just before we left, we'd watched the show Daisy Jones and the Six, which was telling a similar story, so this was right up our alley. So after 6 days at sea, we were ready for some land. And we were pretty optimistic as we pulled into Bermuda, especially when we saw the pilot get on board and the water was pretty calm. Now there's lots of shallow reefs around Bermuda, and it was quite a trek to get all the way through the reefs, through the channels, to the naval dockyard. You could actually see the really shallow reefs in very close proximity to the boat. We also passed some nice scenery and some forts before we pulled in to the Royal Naval Dockyard.
We jumped on the minibus for our NCL shore excursion. Our first stop was at the aquarium. This is quite a small place, which was probably just as well because we only had 30 minutes to walk around. The tanks were full of beautiful marine life from the local area. The most interesting thing in the tank was not this moray eel, but this pufferfish that wanted to give me a kiss. There was also a zoo outside on a spectacular location right near the water. It was feeding time, well, for this Galapagos tortoise. There were free roaming exhibits like this one from the Caribbean with a tamarind and a pair of macaws. There was also some beautiful flamingos They were so colourful. I really liked this lemur. I was tempted to give him a pat, but then I remembered that our insurance didn't cover that. I wasn't tempted to pat this alligator though. We jumped back on the bus for the next part of our shore excursion. It was a little bit of a tour through the island until we reached the Crystal Caves. We were amazed at how beautiful this place was. We noticed as we were driving that all of the houses were striking beautiful colours. Our tour guide explained to us the reason for this was because houses didn't used to have numbers on them, and to tell your house apart, you described it by its unique colour. There is no natural water source on the island of Bermuda, so all of the roofs on the houses are white. It is a white lime wash which actually treats the water as it's being captured so that people can drink it.
Our next stop were the Crystal Caves. This was definitely the highlight of our time here in Bermuda. We headed down through the tunnel, being dripped on the whole time by what they told us were cave kisses. And every time you got hit, you got a day's good luck. I think we've got a lot of good luck coming our way. We were both pretty drenched by the end of it. As we came down to the bottom, we had a bit of a talk from Rory, our guide, who told us about the cave being discovered by a couple of young boys playing cricket in 1905. This place was definitely surreal. We felt like we were on the set of some sort of fantasy movie. The stalactites came in all sorts of different sizes. Scientists had discovered that these stalactites grew about 1 cubic inch every 100 years, and they estimated the cave originated during the Ice Age. Our guide Rory pointed out the depth at the deepest part of the cave. It was some 30 metres of water. It was very deceptive. It really didn't look quite that deep. The colour of the water was amazing, and these caves were definitely magical. These caves are a must-see if you're visiting Bermuda. If you're enjoying our videos, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and get notified so you find out where we're off to next. It was time to leave and we made our way back out through the caves. It was a bit of a winding and uphill track, but it was great to see daylight at the end of the tunnel. From here we did a little bit more sightseeing on the way back, stopping at some beautiful beaches and taking a few photos. We made it back to the Royal Naval Dockyards and explored some of the old fort and visited some of the shops before it was time to head off. We saw the tugboat attaching ropes and knew it was time to leave this Bermudiful place. That's a joke the locals told us. So we had an absolutely brilliant day here in Bermuda. We're now heading off to New York.
And don't forget, you can escape the everyday too.